It was a quiet summer night in Noida, a gated apartment, a seemingly perfect family. Nothing looked out of place, until morning came, and behind a locked door, a 14-year-old girl lay dead. No signs of forced entry, no clear suspect, no answers. Only one question remained. What really happened that night? Meet the Talwars, a respected couple, both doctors, living in a well-maintained apartment in Noida, India. Their only daughter, Arushi Talwar, 14 years old, bright, cheerful, loved by her friends. To outsiders, their life looked perfect, but sometimes, the most ordinary homes hide the darkest secrets. The morning began like any other, but inside the Talwar home, something was terribly wrong. Arushi's bedroom door was locked. When it was finally opened, everything changed. She was found lying on her bed, her throat slit, blunt force trauma to the head. No signs of struggle, no robbery, no forced entry. It didn't look like a break-in. It felt personal. Almost immediately, suspicion fell on one man, Hemraj, the family's domestic help. He was missing, gone without a trace. The police quickly built a theory. Hemraj had murdered Arushi and fled. The media picked it up. The country believed it. Case closed, not even close. The very next day, a shocking discovery changed everything. Just one floor above the crime scene, on the terrace, another body was found. It was Hemraj, dead, decomposing, in plain sight. Everything the police thought they knew collapsed instantly. Now the question wasn't, why did Hemraj kill Arushi? It became, who killed them both? From the very beginning, the investigation was flawed. The crime scene wasn't sealed properly. People walked in and out. Evidence was contaminated. Fingerprints lost, footprints ignored, possible murder weapon never clearly identified. Critical mistakes that would haunt the case forever. As confusion grew, so did speculation. Some believed it was an outsider, a burglary gone wrong. Others thought it was something darker, a crime of passion, a secret gone wrong. And then came the most controversial theory of all, that the truth was inside the house. With no forced entry, no signs of intrusion, and both victims killed in the same house. Investigators began to look closer at the only people present that night. Arushi's parents, the Talwars. The idea shocked the nation. Respected doctors, accused of something unimaginable. Could they really be involved? Or were they being framed by a broken investigation? 2 murders, 1 house, no witnesses, no clear timeline, and a truth buried under layers of doubt. In the next part, we dive into the most controversial accusations, the media frenzy, and the investigation that divided an entire nation. Come on, let's go. Within days, this wasn't just a murder case anymore. It became a national obsession. News channels ran non-stop coverage. Speculations turned into headlines. Rumors became facts. Every detail, real or imagined, was dissected in public. The Talwar family wasn't just grieving anymore. They were under a microscope. Then came a claim, one that would change everything. Investigators suggested Arushi may not have been alone that night. They hinted at a possible relationship between Arushi and Hemraj, and what followed was explosive. A theory that her parents discovered something and reacted in anger. No solid evidence, no clear proof. But the damage was done. The narrative had shifted from victims to suspects. The media frenzy intensified. Private lives were exposed. Personal details were broadcast. Reputations were destroyed overnight. The Talwars maintained their innocence, but in the court of public opinion, the verdict seemed already decided. And yet, inside the investigation, nothing was concrete. The media frenzy intensified. Private lives were exposed. Personal details were broadcast. Reputations were destroyed overnight. The Talwars maintained their innocence, but in the court of public opinion, the verdict seemed already decided. And yet, inside the investigation, nothing was concrete. The first CBI team began fresh. They explored multiple angles, including a shocking alternative theory that outsiders could have been involved. 3 men, known to Hemraj, came under suspicion. For a moment, it seemed like the case was finally moving forward. But suddenly, the investigation changed hands. A second CBI team took over, and with them came a completely different conclusion. The new team dismissed the outsider theory. Instead, they focused entirely on the parents. Their argument? No forced entry. The crime happened inside a locked home. The parents were the only ones present. They called it an honor killing, a crime committed in rage, followed by a cover-up. But there was a problem. No direct evidence, no eyewitness, no clear sequence of events. Just a theory. In a surprising move, the CBI filed what's called a closure report. They claimed there wasn't enough evidence to prosecute anyone. Legally, that should have ended the case, but it didn't. The court rejected the closure and ordered a trial. Now, the Talwars wouldn't just be suspects anymore. They would stand as the accused. As the case moved forward, critical questions remained unanswered. Why was Hemraj's body not discovered immediately? Why was the crime scene mishandled so badly? Where was the murder weapon? Why were there no signs of forced entry? And most importantly, what really happened that night? A broken investigation, conflicting theories, and a family caught in the center of it all. Years after that night, the case finally entered the courtroom. The accused, Arushi's parents, Rajesh Talwar, Nupur Talwar. The charge, murder and destruction of evidence. Inside the courtroom, this wasn't just a legal battle. It was a fight between the absence of evidence and the power of suspicion. The prosecution presented its case, not with eyewitnesses, not with direct proof, but with a chain of circumstances. They argued. The apartment had no signs of forced entry. The doors were locked from the inside. No outsider could have entered unnoticed, which meant whoever committed the crime had to be inside the house. And that pointed to one conclusion: the parents. According to investigators, that night unfolded like this. The parents allegedly discovered something inappropriate between Arushi and Hemraj. In a moment of rage, they attacked, first Arushi, then Hemraj. Afterward, they staged the scene, cleaned the evidence, locked the doors, and acted normal the next morning. It was a theory that shocked the nation, but a theory is not proof. The defense team pushed back hard. They argued there was no murder weapon recovered, no bloodstains linking the parents directly, no eyewitnesses, no clear timeline. They highlighted the investigation failures. The crime scene was contaminated. Key evidence was mishandled. Crucial leads were ignored. Their argument was simple: you cannot convict someone based on assumptions. Forensic evidence, which should have brought clarity, only added more confusion. Conflicting reports, inconclusive findings, missing links. Some evidence suggested tampering. Some raised more questions than answers. Instead of revealing the truth, science seemed to blur it further. One of the biggest mysteries remained: that night itself. No neighbors heard anything unusual. No screams, no struggle. 2 people were killed in the same house without alerting anyone. How? Was it planned, or was something else being missed entirely? After months of arguments, the court had to decide. Not on absolute truth, but on whether the chain of circumstances was strong enough to prove guilt. The judge observed. The sequence of events, the closed environment, the behavior after the incident, all pointed, in his view, toward the parents. In 2013, the verdict was delivered. Rajesh Talwar and Nupur Talwar were found guilty, convicted of murder, sentenced to life imprisonment. The courtroom fell silent. Across the country, people were divided. Some believed justice had been served. Others believed an innocent family had been punished. The case became one of the most debated in India. 2 sides emerged. They must be guilty because of the circumstances. There's no proof because of the investigation flaws. And in between was a haunting possibility that the real truth might never be known. A conviction without clear answers, a case built on questions, and a story that refused to end. The Talwars were behind bars, convicted, sentenced to life imprisonment. For many, the case seemed closed, but for the Talwars, the fight was just beginning. They appealed the verdict, taking their case to a higher court, hoping that this time the evidence would speak louder than assumptions. The case reached the Allahabad High Court. Here, everything would be re-examined. Every argument, every piece of evidence, every gap in the investigation, and most importantly, every doubt. The High Court took a closer look, not at speculation, but at proof. They asked critical questions. Was there any direct evidence linking the parents? Was the chain of circumstances complete? Were alternative possibilities properly ruled out? And slowly, the cracks began to show. The court pointed out serious flaws. The crime scene had been compromised. Evidence collection was unreliable. Key forensic details were inconsistent. Important leads were ignored. The investigation, which should have uncovered the truth, had instead buried it. In criminal law, there is one rule that stands above all. If there is reasonable doubt, the accused must be given the benefit of that doubt. And in this case, doubt was everywhere. Not small doubt, not minor uncertainty, but fundamental questions about how the crime even happened. In 2017, the High Court delivered its verdict. Arushi Talwar and Unanswered Talwar were acquitted. Not because the court proved what happened, but because the prosecution failed to prove their guilt. The court stated clearly, the evidence was insufficient. The investigation was flawed. The chain of circumstances was incomplete. After years in prison, the Talwars walked free. The verdict shocked the nation. Once again. Now the question changed. If the Talwars didn't do it, then who did? There was no new suspect, no new arrest, no new answers. Just silence. 2 lives were lost. A family was shattered. An investigation failed. A nation divided. And the truth, still unknown. A locked room. 2 murders. No witnesses. No clear story. Only fragments. Only theories. Only doubt. The night Arushi Talwar was found dead didn't just take a life. It created one of India's most haunting mysteries. A case where justice was debated, truth was questioned, and answers never fully came. Sometimes, the scariest mysteries are the ones that remain unsolved.